They may not look like it, but these binoculars were once used to spy on the enemy 100 years ago. Today, they sit on Doris Balcovske's kitchen table.
We were never allowed to play with them, and they were put away. We only saw them when he brought them out.
He is Christian Gibson, a Lethbridge man who served with the 25th Battery in World War I. Overseas for nearly 5 years, he returned to Canada with his war bride and later had 2 children.
My brother and I were very proud that our dad had been in the military and served overseas, and we thought that was pretty nice.
His little girl is now 91 and has been holding on to some of Gibson's old war items since he passed.
Looking after them and inherited everything that was left. My brother shared he took what he wanted, and I kept what I wanted.
But now she says it's time for the items to move on. Balcovske plans to donate them to the Lethbridge Military Museum, which will open in April 2015.
I know that they'll be in good hands, and I'm just happy that I have a few things that of historical value and military historical value, and they'll have a nice home at the armories.
The field glasses and their case, a British worm, and maps of terrain and battlefields. Something very rare.
Some of these maps were only designed to be issued to certain officers or at the headquarters and never to leave the headquarters. The Canadian soldiers didn't have the maps. Part of the invention the Canadians did was raiding, going across for intelligence. So if you can get a map from a German, you can understand what the Germans' trenches were all named because they were on their maps. You wouldn't know that unless you went over and snatched a few bodies or prisoners. Yeah, it says 20th Battery, 1914.
According to Glenn Miller, who is on the museum's committee, scoring these items fulfills the museum's goal of preserving and sharing.
Well, it's priceless, really, because so few artifacts from locally are available. And to be able to see something like this, touch it, and something as small as this could end up, unfortunately, in the garbage after years. So this is a way of kind of preserving it for generations, 100 years from now, to help explain that great war for civilization.
He adds that when war items get passed down to kids and grandkids, they're often undervalued.
Because they don't know what it is, they don't value it perhaps as much as it should be valued, because an object, you take a military decoration medal, well, that was Grandpa's one of his medals, but that could be a distinguished conduct medal or a high medal that should be more valued.
Balcovske says there's no better time than to get things off of her kitchen and behind a display case where they belong, and there's no better place to do that than the Lethbridge Military Museum.
History won't be lost.
She has a daughter who lives in Toronto, but no grandchildren, so leaving it to the Military Museum just makes sense.
This is where it all began, and this is where it should end.
For Go Southern Alberta, I'm Jeanette Rocher.